Ignore that text from Alicia.
Will do.
Hello?
Hi, Jeremy.
Yeah.
It's Nick.
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
Good, man. It's nice to finally talk to you. I've heard a lot about you.
Hey, I've listened to you for weeks.
I really appreciate it. From what Chris tells me, you are our biggest supporter, and I really appreciate it.
No problem.
I heard him talking on the phone with you because, he's very loud, so I heard the whole conversation.
He likes to talk also.
Oh, he really does.
He does.
And since it's also my podcast, and I'd like to have you on as a guest, I thought I'd pitch you my idea real quick.
Okay, I'm ready.
The three of us get together, your place, our place, doesn't matter. We smash beers.
Right?
We pick a movie that me and Chris both really like and really connect to, but you haven't seen. And then we pick a movie that you really like and connect to, but we haven't seen. And we talk about those two movies, watch them, and then talk about them. And that way, you can tell us that our opinions about your movie are wrong, and then you can shit on our favorite movie.
I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Chris told me you're interested in this, and I've been very excited about it. He's always telling me that me and you are very alike.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and also, he's just between you and me. He's very bookish, so he kind of intimidates me sometimes. But I feel like if it's me and you, we can kind of gang up on him, and I think it'd be a good podcast.
All right, sounds great. Yeah, well, I'll tell him to shut his fucking mouth because I talk too much.
That's what I need. I just need someone to back me up on that, man.
Sounds great, man.
All right, man. It sounds great. Can't wait to do it,
All right.
and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right, bye. Your dad and I are gonna be best friends.
Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week.
Do you know the story of James Cameron pitching Aliens? Mm-mm. He went to a room full of executives or whatever, and he was at a whiteboard, and he went, and they were like, sold. Also, do it. Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, speechless. That's the perfect pitch.
Yeah, you go.
Everybody's always talking about elevator pitch. I mean, that is the pitch.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
How do you pitch that? How could you ever pitch anything better?
Yeah.
That's the perfect pitch.
But when you were saying, like, oh, he waited like 10 years because he's like, oh, I want to have the right story and be able to do it, that makes me feel like he did.
So, James Cameron did the second one?
Yes.
Okay, not Ridley Scott.
Do you know who did Alien 3?
I do. It was it? I don't know who directed it, but isn't it like Joss Whedon wrote it or something?
It was directed by David Fincher.
Okay, yeah.
It was his first movie.
And who wrote it?
I don't know.
I think it might have been Joss. I'm not even.
I can look it up.
I'm sure it was. I think it was like a Frankenstein monster of a couple of different screenplays. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people wrote on that motherfucker.
Story by Vincent Ward.
Okay, screenplay by David Gillette. I'm totally wrong. I'm absolutely wrong. Yeah. It's just a Fincher joint. Look at me. Wrong. You ever seen that one?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've never seen Aliens?
I've never seen Aliens, no.
Oh.
Very excited to, though.
Yeah, it's been so long that it'll pretty much be fresh for me. I mean, even Alien was pretty fresh because it's been so long.
Do they mention her having a daughter in any of the other ones?
That rings a bell with the lore, but again, it's been so long since I've seen anything besides Alien.
Because I've been playing the game, and you play as her daughter.
Uh-huh.
And I heard that,
I think it's the third one she gets pregnant?
In a deleted scene from Alien 1, she says she has a daughter back on Earth.
Oh, okay.
And, the story of the game is they found the transmission that Ripley sends out at the end of Alien from that ship, and they go to try and find it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We're 8 minutes in. Do you want to do a cold open, or do you just want to talk about a movie?
You can do one of your cold opens.
Okay. It's real cold because it's 8 minutes in. Hey, if you smoke weed, cool, awesome. You're totally allowed to. I got no problem with it. You're not allowed to smoke weed and then go out in those clothes because you fucking reek. I work at a skateboard shop, and constantly kids are coming in who clearly just smoked in their car, and I'm like, hey, our whole place smells like weed now.
Yeah.
It's a bad smell. I hate it. Yeah. It's be considerate. And I don't want to be like, well, if you're a pothead, you're probably not considerate. But I'm starting to believe that if you're a pothead, you're not considerate. If you're gonna smoke weed during your day and go about your life, either have a vape, like a little pen or whatever, or smoke weed in the clothes that you woke up in, and then take a shower, put new clothes on, and go out. Because oh my god, you stink so bad.
Yeah, I remember a time when I saw Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, and I was like, oh, goddamn, I know I'm only 10, but all I want to do is smoke weed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as I got older, the Seth Rogen stuff got very popular. It was cool. Then I felt like there was a long period where I was like, damn, they're kind of making smoking weed pretty lame.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen any of like the Seth Rogen weed stuff.
And now it's dialed back. It's fine now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's not too crazy. But there was a time where I was kind of like, ugh, God, with the weed and all the time and the smoking the weed. And I get it.
I haven't...
But it's died down a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's very normalized. Yeah. So anytime I can smell weed on someone, I just immediately think that they're a Harold and Kumar guy.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking of is like there was that era where like Bad Teacher. Like I feel like the thing that made Cameron Diaz the bad teacher in that movie is that she smoked a little bit of weed or whatever. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, there's this one time I was with some friends, and we were with another group of friends who are women, and we were somewhere, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna go meet at this bar. And so we went our different ways and then met at the bar. But when we went our different ways, one of our friends was like, hey, let's smoke weed. And weed hasn't made me nervous in about 6 years. Like, it just makes me just lose my mind every time.
Yeah.
And so we do that, and then we go to the bar, and we're late. And I'm like, oh god, just play it cool, man, just play it cool. And we get there, and the friend goes, sorry, we stopped to smoke a little. And I was like, oh, why would you say that? And this girl goes, oh, we can tell. And I was like, oh no. Look at this spider right here by my finger.
Oh yeah, wow, look at him.
I don't know why I can't kill a little spider. If it's big, I want it gone, but if it's a little baby guy like that, I love him.
I try to leave them alone despite their spooky appearance. They're good guys from what I've heard.
Yeah.
They
eat all the other bugs, but also the scariest bugs. So
they are scary bugs. I guess that's what happens when you're the apex predator of any food chain kind of a thing, right? Like sharks, spooky. Yeah. Bears, spooky. Spiders, spooky, right?
What would you say in your imagination?
I like that in my head. Spider, shark, and bear are like the ape.
No, I buy it. Yeah.
But spider seems like the odd man out there a little bit, but I guess it is, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm an idiot.
It'd be crazy, though?
Yeah.
And, like, hundreds and hundreds of years when we finally conquer space travel.
Mm-hmm.
And you go out there, you find an apex predator for everything. That's something that you can't even imagine with your mind.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that would look like?
There's this really gross picture of it's not gross necessarily, it's like a comic book style drawing kind of like a behemoth from the Bible, which is like a mythical creature that is like a human being's misunderstanding of what a hippo is. And so it kind of looks all jacked like the Incredible Hulk, and it's purple like a hippo, but then it has like a head that almost looks like skull, like a deer skull kind of, but it's still purple skinny. It almost looks like a hippo if a hippo whipped actual ass and
Oh, they do.
I know, but what I'm saying is like culturally, our idea of a hippo is like what Madagascar did to hippos.
Okay, yeah.
You know
no,
what I
I
mean?
get that.
It's just like, the guy from The Office who spills his chili.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one looked like, na na na,
Yeah.
na na na, da 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 da.
So is it like, is the picture somebody describing a hippo to somebody else and then them drawing it? Is that what happened?
Well, historically, yes. This picture specifically, I think, is just like I think it's just a whip ass picture that someone drew of the behemoth.
Stop wearing this shirt.
Let's see, where's it at?
Oh, he's going back. See the little guy.
He got what he needed. Okay, so you can barely see it in this thumbnail on the far left. That's kind of what a behemoth.
Oh, that's fucked up.
But it's basically. Let me see if I can just. Behemoth. But it's one of those things that like. I think there's something like the fucking badger or something like that
Yeah.
was supposedly like a mythical creature like a unicorn until someone actually found it or some shit like that. Like there's a bunch of animals like that are actually extremely elusive, and only in the last like 200 years have we actually been able to be like, oh shit, I guess these guys weren't crazy. There is a weird little creature.
It is a weird little beaver duck thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I was talking about apex predator in space, I thought you were going to pick up what I was putting down, that we should transition into alien, because I thought that's what you were doing. I thought I was going along with your bit, and you're like, what about hippos?
No, as I stated earlier, I'm an idiot.
You get pick one.
Okay. Your left hand from my point of view, right hand.
This one?
Yeah.
Male
Old
type.
boy. Oh, this is a thick one.
Yeah, just it could. I mean, yeah, it could be. Maybe there's money in there.
I can't get this one. I'm gonna rip it like that. Oh my god.
Just a normal piece of paper. I don't know what you're complaining
It
about.
is. Old Boy, 2003. Based on the graphic novel of the same name, Park Chan-wook's Old Boy is Ric Flair who... Oh, yeah, here you go. Based on the graphic novel of the same name, Park Chan-wook's Old Boy is... Woo! So good. A cute little movie about imprisonment, revenge, and incest, Old Boy is a South Korean film that couldn't translate itself into American cinema. So in 2013, America remade Old Boy, directed by Spike Lee, starring Josh Brolin, and sucking out all of what makes the original Old Boy special. It's, no good. If you like revenge movies, purposeful filmmaking, or just a little dash of incest in your movies, Old Boy 2003, specifically, is for you. 10 out of 10.
Chris, what's your experience with Old Boy?
I remember my oddball friend,
Oh, I know.
really wanting to sink his teeth into Old Boy, and I always respected his opinions on things, and so it always been one of those things where I was like, yeah, I'm sure that's just everything it needs to be, and I was never really dying or like chomping at the bit or whatever it is to check it out. But you've been getting real horny for it lately, and you watched on effedmovies.com.
Yeah, I had to steal it.
Yeah, with a friend.
I mean, I didn't steal it. I streamed it off of a website.
Yeah.
For no money.
Maybe I'll bleep what website we used.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just think the website domain's so funny.
It is.
But you watched it with a friend. They fell asleep. That friend will remain unnamed. And then when Elton woke up, you were very upset that he had fallen asleep because you loved the movie.
I do.
And then a little while later, you were like, "Hey, let's watch The Old Boy." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, we'll watch The Old Boy." That's pretty much it. I really don't think I had much else. Why were you so horny for it?
I saw Old Boy, when I was like a freshman in high school, I think.
The Korean one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where I heard about it. Like, I can't think of an outlet where 14-year-old Nick had heard about Old Boy.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, and I found it, and I watched it, and I was like, whoa, that was an effedupmovie.com. And I was like, yeah, that was cool. But I just heard people on and on talking about how it's one of the best movies ever made.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, it was pretty all right, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then, years passed. And I watched it, I don't know, probably like 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I was effedupmovies.com. That movie's really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And then I watched the remake. And I was like, okay, Oldboy 2013 is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
I would say that's the only reason to watch the Spike Lee one, is it makes you really appreciate how just purposeful, how just intentional everything that happens in Oldboy is. And just like the way they present information to you and stuff like that. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I just love this movie. And yeah, as you know, for the past like 9 months, I've been trying to just get my hands on a copy of Oldboy, and you just can't, because everything I find online is like it's not streaming anywhere. You can't buy it digitally anywhere. And I even went so far as to try and buy a DVD of it, and like every DVD you can find online is like region locked, so I'd have to have like a Korean DVD player to be able to watch it.
What's the origin of the region lock?
I don't know.
It's an odd thing.
It's just like a bunch of political business stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah, like not like political, but like businesses being political with each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Very odd.
Yeah. I hate it. And so anyway, I scoured the internet. Found a website that will remain nameless. And I watched it with Elton the other day. And I liked it just as much. And yeah, I mean, since the last time I saw it to the current time I saw it, I've watched just like countless like video essays and stuff on it. So I'm gonna try to not recite those word for word in this.
Yeah.
But I might accidentally, so I'm sorry.
So this is a plagiarism warning.
It is.
Plagiarism warning.
Everything I say, just pretend someone else is saying it. I'm sorry, Chris. What did you think of Oldboy?
I got 5 words to start this off. Spoilers. 5 stars. Guilt-free eroticism.
Yeah, you were real revved up by this, weren't you?
What are you talking
I'm talking about the guilt-free eroticism.
about? Yeah, I like this. It's interesting because I think one of the things I think I know maybe about Oldboy is that it was super, super influential.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I.e., just for example, to this day, even like the hallway scene.
Yeah.
But even small things, like just scenes where like some kind of badass music is playing in the background, and our lead is like wearing sunglasses, smoking a cigarette. Like our lead is wearing sunglasses, smoking a cigarette, and like walking towards the camera, kind of in slow mo. It feels a lot like that. The next couple of years of action movies here in the States, almost sometimes, but then other times, it's got like a slice of life slowcore kind of cinema feel to it. Like in the beginning when he's just sitting there in the police station and he's hammered, and they keep trying to tell him to cool off and chill out and whatnot. So that's just a observation from the gate.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing that I like. Yeah, hard to sort of pin down. It's not just one thing, I guess what you could amount all of what I just said to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, go on.
No.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to perhaps piggyback off of things you have to say.
Yeah, like influential. Anytime there's a long shot of people fighting in a movie, it always gets compared to Oldboy.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything gets to the level that Oldboy does.
Yeah.
Because, you watch Daredevil and he fights a couple of guys in a hallway for a few minutes and it's one shot and the camera's moving a lot, but it's like, okay, that was cool. But the thing that always gets me about Oldboy, that fight in the hallway, is it is exhausting. you see that hallway of guys, and I just love how it's presented.
Yeah.
Like, it starts with, like, a normal shot of the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how packed it is and all the guys in there. And it's like, okay, well, surely they're just going to cut to him at the end of the hallway and everyone's going to be on the floor behind him. But then it flips to that side view. So clearly they have more space, but you still know how small that hallway is. Mm-hmm. And you see him beat the shit out of all these guys, but he kind of gets his ass kicked while he's doing it.
Yeah.
And it feels almost believable. Like, he gets stabbed in the back and people are hitting him over the head with, like, 2x4s and shit. And, like, by the end, he's, like, crawling on the ground.
Yeah.
And, like, the other guys who are, like, not dead or knocked out, like, a lot of them are still awake and conscious, are kind of just, like, they're afraid of him.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love it.
Seeing as though you've done a lot of reading, I'm assuming there's been a lot of two white guys talking about the fight scene in Oldboy on the internet.
Probably.
Is there a lot of that?
There's only one video I really remember, verbatim, but I've read a lot about Oldboy.
Well, that was supposed to be a bottom test, but
I mean, oh yeah.
But no, I just mean that, like, I don't actually know, but to take the words out of your mouth, that was one of the things I was going to say, is that, like, yeah, the selling in this is so good.
Yeah.
Just yeah, like, even when it gets to the point that they are kind of, like, trepidatiously, like, backpedaling just a little bit, but, like, not backing down totally, believable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there'd be a certain point where I'm like, I don't want to get hit with a fucking hammer again, man.
Yeah.
Just like, get out of here, you know?
Like, there's that one part where, like, there's a bunch of guys behind the biggest guy, and they're like, fucking get him, go get him. And he's like, yeah. And he's just kind of, like, stutter stepping toward him and, like, swiping at him with a hammer or something like that. That's great.
Yeah, there's even people kind of hanging in the back, like, trying to get in there, but they're just holding pieces of wood, and, like, even that doesn't look... Like, when I was watching it, I just kept thinking, like, yeah, I guess if that many people were fighting a guy, like, a couple would have to be in the back doing that. I wasn't thinking, like, no, look at these fucking extras getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, I was just thinking about it logistically. So, yeah, hats off to that. It really is.
And, like, I could be wrong, but I think, remember when, like, he gets out at first and he runs into that group of kids and he takes a cigarette out of that guy's mouth?
Yeah.
And then I love he smokes it and falls backwards because it's the first cigarette he's had in 15 years.
Yeah.
And they call him a dick shit, and he's like, "Oh, dick shit. That's a new one. I
Terminator.
heard it. They don't tell you curse words on TV."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Could 15 years of imaginary fighting really work?" And then he kicks the shit out of those guys. That, in my mind, it could be wrong. It could be more like the hallway fight, but in my mind, that's an action movie, and he just whips the shit out of them with no problem. And for, I don't know, I guess just for both of those to work in the same movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, even just a second ago, you were talking about how you expected it to, like, just hard cut to, like, everybody on the ground. The next scene that happens, because he gets in the elevator with two guys or three guys or whatever, and then it hard cuts to elevator opens. They're covered in blood, and he's the only guy standing.
No, I do love that. It's the exact contrary to what you're saying. The elevator opens, and everybody's standing unconscious.
Oh.
And then they fall out, and that's
Yeah.
like... It's funny, and it's to be played for a laugh, so it doesn't really bother me that much. But it's one of the one things in this movie where I'm like, okay, well, how did that happen? Did he get in there and then get in the middle of them and then start punching?
Yeah.
I don't get how we got from A to B here.
So the meat and potatoes, I guess, is I guess that's the story, not the fighting. What we're talking about is the panache, I guess. Perhaps. Would you say the story is the meat and potatoes?
Je ne sais quoi. I think it's all of it.
All of it's the meat and potatoes? Let's talk about the other meats and the other potatoes for a second. Interesting plot.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a, you thought out and complicated and stuff like that, but I'd never seen this before.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway. Like the first time I saw it when I was a kid, was like, I've never seen anything broach this topic before in a movie.
The only other thing I can think is, like, this is the most incest since the Bible.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
So our main guy saw his arch nemesis banging his sister back in school, and then told everybody.
Told one guy.
Oh, who told everybody?
Yeah.
And she got pregnant and killed herself about it.
Mm-hmm.
And now this guy has imprisoned him for 15 years, let him go with a little, like, Sherlock Moriarty kind of like cat and mouse game of like, you've got 4 days to figure out what my big gripe with you is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a really intense. It's like Saw meets My Name Is Earl.
Exactly. That's put it on the box. That's how you sell this movie.
That plus the most incest since the Bible. Those are the 2 quotes that are gonna sell this. But yeah, there's a nice, interesting kind of like, bit of Hansel and Gretel breadcrumb trail where he's like getting little bits of this and like, he's going around town trying all the different sushis and whatnot to see the little rolls, the dumplings, to see which dumpling tastes like the dumpling he's been eating for 15 years. That's neat. Moriarty keeps calling him on the phone.
Yeah.
All that is really neat, and we can get into that a little bit more. But first, I definitely want to point out in the main arc, I forgot that there was the spoiler ending is that he's been fucking his daughter.
Yeah, that's the big get.
Yeah, this is the big but I did want to bring up also like the complicated plot of him like hypnotizing both the daughter and the guy.
Yeah.
So that they would respond to different stimuli so that they could fall in love with each other. Like I said, it's a very intricate and well thought out plot.
Yeah, because like on first watch when like he passes out at the restaurant and then wakes up in her apartment, it's like, why would she ever bring this guy home?
But it still tracks because we've seen plenty of movies like that even kind of happens in fucking Vertigo.
Yeah.
Or like that kind of thing happens in Halloween 3 where like 2 perfect strangers share a hotel room and then fuck. Like, so it's like a trope of old Hollywood that like men and women just behave this way when they're falling in love. They do weird things,
But they explain it with hypnosis? I don't know enough about hypnosis to know if that would actually work in real life.
I do like that they try to explain it away a little bit by being like, you can't really hypnotize someone to fall in love. It's kind of really, really like a crapshoot. But then they get into the science of like, rather than try to do like, it's a love potion, they like tried to train or hypnotize them to respond to certain stimuli instead, kind of a thing. With that coupled with the probably innate. Is it innate or inane?
Innate.
Innate. The innate kind of affection you feel for
it's the
father-daughter.
Opposite of Back to the Future. Where his mom goes, I don't know what's wrong, but kissing you feels weird. And in this one, he's like, I don't know what this feeling is, but I'm going to fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost worse than the consensual incest. There is that point where he tries to rape her on the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the same line of logic he uses to beat up a bunch of 14-year-olds, which is, I wonder if 15 years of training could... And then he's like, I guess not, after the rape is unsuccessful.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, it's a weird but understandable scene that I get. It like makes perfect sense of the movie because he's like, I've been locked up for 15 years, and there's a chick pissing in the other room. Yeah, and then he gets it out, and I like immediately he's like, I'm gonna go. That was awful. That is unforgivable. I'm gonna get out of here. And she goes, oh no, I'm gonna fuck you, just not right now. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess hypnosis, but all right.
Yeah. It is interesting. I guess it seems like, I don't know how to articulate the part of it that is so unlike anything else I've really seen, because I guess it's not really like shying away from just being like, yeah, this is an incest movie kind of a thing. Like, it's so base and like not the kind of like clean cut polished thing that you usually see in movies. Like, again, I'm just reiterating my point about like, you don't see this kind of a thing. Like, I don't see movies that even try to brush up against incest. Game of Thrones is probably the first thing off the top of my head, and then after that I'd have to think for a while about another movie that fucks around with incest. Dangerous Lives of the Altar Boys has a little bit of incest in it. I mean, what comes to mind when you think, a movie that has incest in it?
Honestly, I would probably just think Game of Thrones. Yeah. And it would probably be a few minutes before I go, oh, right, Old Boy. Yeah. For some reason, that's not the first thing that jumps to my mind when I think about Old Boy.
So that's not like necessarily a pro or con. It's just one of those things where it's like, I guess maybe. No, fuck it. I mean, pro is just interesting. It's, kudos to you for doing something I just don't see.
Yeah, but I think that's the biggest part of it that, like, this wouldn't translate to an American audience.
Yeah. Legitimately, because
and then they do the remake and they somehow fuck that up. Like the bad guy's sister gets caught fucking their dad in like a greenhouse, a building made of glass.
Yeah.
By our main character. And it turns out the whole family was incestuous. So the dad killed the whole family and then himself, but he fucked up and didn't like kill the son, like shot him, but he didn't die. And that's
something about all of that sounds more American, though.
Yeah, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And
why does that sound more American?
He's like, my father was a brilliant man. He's very British, too.
Why does whole family incest and whole family annihilation sound more American?
Because guns and overbearing fathers, I guess, instead of just a brother and a sister.
Yeah.
They fuck. And, yeah, it's bad. And, like, there's a whole subplot where he keeps seeing his daughter on TV because now she's grown up and she's a violinist.
Yeah.
But, that's not really your daughter. Mm-hmm. That's just an actress I paid, and I've been putting these videos in front of you so that you think this is your daughter, but really it's the girl you've been banging.
I'm going to say, this is the best Evil Genius plot I've ever seen.
I love...
Can you think of a worse thing to do to your arch nemesis?
No, it's so fucked.
This is the best.
And, like, the whole thing with his pacemaker, like, if I push this button, I'm dead.
Yeah.
So you won't get what you want.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he gives him the button and he pushes it, and it's a lie. Because it just plays that recording of him, just the sound of him fucking her.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's like the best Bond villain.
Oh, he's like the best Moriarty type villain. Like, I think a thing I really like about this movie, and this is for sure a problem with me, when I watch a foreign film and they have subtitles, I feel like for a big part, I'm kind of doing some of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, because there's a degree to which, like, you can hear how they're speaking and how they're inflecting, but yeah, it's almost like reading a book where you have to also sort of interpret how it's supposed to be taken. Because even though you can hear them, it's just different.
For some reason, this movie, I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
I think the acting is so good just across the board. Mm-hmm. And I think he's great. I'm sorry, I can't remember anybody's name in this movie. I know our main character is Deso, but I can't remember
the Moriarty type.
I can't remember Moriarty's name.
I can't offhand either.
But I think he's great. I love that the first time you see him is when he helps him in the street and puts him in the car. But I think my favorite...
Yeah, I love when he's driving off and there's just that kind of smirk. Like they're like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I love... My favorite part of this movie is when Deso is in the elevator trying to figure out the combination to get to the penthouse. And, like, people are walking by and he's like... He's still doing it. And then just in the crowd of people, you just see Moriarty and his guy just walk up and get in the elevator and push in the code and they go up together.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love it. And I love... this is a big statement, but I think maybe my favorite scene in the movie is when he's at the school looking through the yearbooks and he calls his friend. He goes, hey, do you remember this girl? And it cuts to his friend back at the cafe and he's like, oh, I remember her. Oh yeah, she was a whore. Yeah, she was a big slut, everybody. And then I think she ended up killing herself, but oh god, she was so hot. And then the camera pans over and Moriarty's sitting on the other side. He's like, and he takes out the CD and snaps it in half and then goes over there and stabs him. And he's
I was just gonna shout out that scene too.
And he's like, you took out your bug, so I had to come all the way down here, and now he's dead, and it's your fault. Oh, it's so...
Yeah, I'd put him in the category of, like, in my opinion, my favorite movie villain is definitely Shigar. And I'd put this Moriarty type in that bracket for me. These are S tier villains. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, these two are really good. It's very funny that that's the scene that you were going to bring up because that's the one that I love too. I can't say anything else about it other than it hits super hard. It's just that purposeful filmmaking thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's just I get everything I need to know about the character from that scene.
Yeah, I think my favorite example of the purposeful stuff and there's no way I'm not taking this from somebody else, so I'm so sorry. But, like, I think the best example of that is the beginning of this movie, of him drunk in the police station at the beginning, and he's fat, and, like, the movie starts with him hanging that guy over the side of the building, and he's like, my name is, and then it hard cuts to fat him, and he goes, oh, deso. And it's like, okay, cool. And he's just this bumbling fat idiot, and because he's drunk, he's like, oh, you gotta let me, it's my daughter. I have a daughter. It's her birthday. And so you know he has his family in this relationship, and you get who he is, and like just from that one scene of like you get everything you need to know, plus his friend coming to get him, and with the wings for his daughter and stuff like that. And it's great. And then
the wings for his daughter is great too. Yeah.
And then he disappears, and then like just like immediately after that, the first shot you get of him in the prison is from the door, from the little slot that they put the food into, you know. And he's just forcing his head through that hole. Yeah, and just like frantically, like, please, I've been in here months. You have to tell me how long I have to be in here. And it's just so frantic and extreme, and you immediately get what's happening and what situation he's in, and like mentally and stuff like that, and stuff like that, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also with the fainting thing, isn't his like explain it away thing where he talks about how like, oh yeah, lack of exposure for 15 years would leave me with like significant deficiencies in both vitamin A and vitamin E. Yeah. And that could be one of the problems. I even like little stuff like that. Like, so many great little...
Yeah, like when he gets out of that trunk on the roof, he immediately goes, oh, fuck, because the sun hasn't hit his eyes in 15 years. Yeah. And I love, 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 love him saving that guy on top of the building and goes, I'm going to tell you my story. Yeah. And it cuts, and it's just that shot of them sitting there, and the guy goes, man, that's messed up. Well, I'm going to tell you my story. Why I want to die. And he just gets up and goes. I think, if I'm remembering this right, this is like technically, like, not technically, but kind of like a spiritual trilogy of movies that this director has made. And that guy on the roof is the character from the last movie. Okay. I could be getting that wrong, though.
On the topic of him starting out as a little fat Desu?
I think so. It's Daesu. I'm not positive how to pronounce it.
Yeah, and then, so obviously he gets out, and in a sense, he's kind of like, you know, at his peak physically, in a sense. Mentally, a little shot. Yeah. In some ways strong, but a little fucked up. But there is that point where he talks about how he's like, oh, you know, if I hadn't been in prison for 15 years, would this girl even like me? Gross, because it's his daughter. Yes. But also, I do like just little things that get touched on here and there, like just that thing where, like, the sentiment there is like, yeah, regardless of the last 15 years, now I am who I am, and I'm here, and I have what I have because of that time, you know?
Yeah, and I like that, like, right before that, when he's thinking about her in that way and his life in that way, is the hallway fight scene, and he's just walking down the street covered in blood, and he's like, oh, I'm a monster. Like, he's called himself Monster, because there's the line that gets put throughout it, even though I'm no more than a beast, don't I deserve to live, or something like that. But yeah, he's covered in blood, and he's like, can I even be who I was now, even after I get this all taken care of, and is this just who I am now? And it's very nice when he...
It's kind of like the Neo thing. Yeah. I just mean in terms of, like, the hero's journey, there's that point where you can't go back. Or I guess you could choose, but most of the time the hero comes to that conclusion of, like, I can't really go back to how things were, because I'm different now.
Yeah. I love
when they run away, and then Moriarty's like, you can't run away from me. Here's a present in the room you just fucked in. Open it up, why don't you?
Him being that cool mentally. It's so fucked up. I love when he's like, I'd like to eat something alive, please. Oh. And he eats that octopus, and it's just sucking all over his face and stuff like that. Yeah. And I like, it feels like there's a part where, like, he's eating it, and the camera is kind of like, you don't see the top of his face, you just see his mouth and his hand, and, like, the octopus is, like, grabbing around his hand and stuff like that. And you can almost see the cameraman realize, oh fuck, that thing's grabbing the rest of his face, and it shoots up, and the octopus is, like, grabbing his nose and his eye and stuff like that.
Yeah. Makes me think of those mukbangs where that girl still eats live squid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cultural thing, which, whatever. honestly, a lot of things I could give a shit. You know what I mean? Hey, all I'm gonna say is there's a degree to which I understand, cultural, like what is it, like moral relativism or whatever. Because at the end of the day, we're big old hairless monkeys living on a space rock. We only get like about 60 years. It's not that serious.
It's deep, man.
But the mukbang thing, people are always like, that's straight up animal cruelty. We should not be eating things that are alive, especially things like squid, because they're supposed to be super smart.
They are.
Yeah. So just wanted to bring that up. It reminded me of watching that very beautiful woman eating alive things, and me just going, oh my God, on YouTube. Because it is very startling.
Yeah.
It's not a comfortable thing to watch.
Yeah, that's why I was in this movie.
Yeah.
I also...
But culturally, I think it's not normal, but it's like a thing. I'm not saying like everybody does it. I'm just saying like it wouldn't be that jarring, because I think people do it over
I think that...
there.
It's strange, though, because that feels like the point of the scene is that this is fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, he's so hell-bent on revenge that he wants to just kill something right now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, it like is a thing that happens in the sense that like if you go to a restaurant, I think there probably would be restaurants where you could order something alive. But I'm saying like not everybody does it. Like it probably is weird, like you're saying. It probably is a weird thing for people to do, but it still happens. Like circumcision. That's probably the attitude that they have over there towards it, I would assume.
Okay.
Just that thing where like it still happens, but there are a lot of people who don't like it.
Do you know if the mukbang girl is Korean?
I could look it up. Can we look it up?
Yeah. Because maybe she's not. And, man, I don't know. But also, they give him the octopus. If you went to a restaurant in America right now and went, I'd like to eat something alive, they tell you to leave.
Her name is So Young. She's a South Korean actor, mukbanger, musician, and ASMR artist. Yeah, she's Korean.
Okay, well, I'm.
I mean, we're
Lost.
really just guessing.
Yeah.
Ignorance is showing. Again, I'm an idiot.
I love his look. I love just the weird, shitty haircut and the women's glasses and the black suit. It's just, such a chef's kiss movie character look, because he looks like an insane man, and no one could ever look like that in real life. But he looks so cool. I love it so much.
Yeah. I remember one time I was looking really good, and Delaney was like, "You look mentally unstable right now," like in a badass way.
Yeah.
It was one of the best compliments I've ever gotten. I was like,
Yeah,
I know
I
exactly what you mean. Ending time.
Yeah, let's talk about the ending. I got a weird read on it for the first time ever when me and you watched it the other day.
Read it to me.
He gets hypnotized by the woman who had hypnotized him before.
Yes. The woman who came to his room.
Yes.
In the beginning.
He cut out his tongue.
That
scene's
grueling
insane.
for me. That is... Like, that bummed me out more than the incest did, more than the squid thing did, more than the DVD stab thing did. That was the end-all, be-all for me, because I'm just like, oh my God. Hey, I'm about to get grotesque. Just a little warning. But just like, when you're scissoring it, like, there's the part that's meat, and then there's got to be the core part.
Yeah.
That's like nerves.
The muscles
and like just stringy things that are really important to how the tongue works.
And there's no way...
It's gotta be like trying to cut string.
Yeah, there's no way you could just in one go scissors
I know, because I think
tongue
he
off.
tried a couple.
God. And that scene's...
I think if you did that, you would honestly bleed to death more than likely. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure like there are like, because I've heard about like medieval tools that like would get strapped to your head and like would slowly, like if you moved your head at all, like start ripping your tongue, and like a lot of people like would end up getting their whole tongue ripped off, bleed out, kind of a thing. Yeah, it's fucked. It's like shit. They not even medieval in terms of medieval times. I mean, like even up until the into the 1800s, I think they were still using that in some fucked up prisons here in the States and stuff, like things like that. Yeah.
But I love that scene.
Yeah.
Like I said before, don't know what you're saying. Don't know what you're saying. I don't speak Korean. I don't know where you're inflecting right now, but I can tell you are acting your little ass off right now. And it's so good.
Yeah.
But his fucking hair is different. I was watching it these past 2 times. I'm like, man, this guy's hair keeps fucking changing,
Yeah.
and it was driving me crazy.
Well, it's just funny. I didn't notice that. I was actually going to commend this movie on, like, I love its continuity. Like, I love that he's got, like, the bandage on his back
Yeah.
where he was stabbed the whole time. Yeah, that scene is great. It's just a house of cards falling on Desu, you know?
Just so
Moriarty being like, look at my hand.
just so insanely desperate and just flipping back and forth mid-sentence.
Desperate because Moriarty kind of gaslighting him about some stuff, in a sense. Like, there's lies, like the heart thing, and like the, hey, you've been fucking your sister, and like been hypnotizing you. Now you're listening to you bang your sister, or not your sister, your daughter. And like, oh, there's the present there. And he's like, just make sure she doesn't open it. She can't know. She can't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, don't open the present or whatever. Just the whole thing. Super tense. One of the most tense scenes I've ever seen.
Oh, and
It's crazy.
I love, like, it's so fucked up, but like it's fucked up but weirdly sweet when he gets in the elevator and before he pushes the button, he goes, me and my sister loved each other despite knowing. Do you think the two of you can do the same now that you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, fuck. And then I love when he's in the elevator and it cuts to that flashback. And then in the flashback, it's current day him.
Yeah.
And he lets go of her hand and she dies. And you just see his hand turn to the shape of the gun. And then the next shot is him just falling against the side of the elevator. But also, love, we didn't talk about. I keep saying throughout this episode, oh, I also love. Oh, and I love. But I love the little, I guess, twist in it that they don't really talk about that much. But when Moriarty is like, yeah, and because a rumor going around that she was a whore, she thought she was pregnant. And her stomach even started growing bigger because she had this phantom pregnancy and convinced herself that she was pregnant. And Daisy was like, no, you knocked up your sister. And Moriarty is like, okay, sure.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of what's said in the elevator, I'm not making a call either way. But it's just one of those things that, like, I just feel like I've never seen another movie touch with a 10-foot pole where it's like, yeah, like, because there's that hypothetical I've heard people pose before in forums and just general conversation where it's like, okay, let's say same situation without all the fucked up thing. For some reason, for the last 15 years, you've been banging this girl, you're married, you guys got a couple of kids, and then you find out that, like, oh, shit, daddy had a baby one town over, and turns out this is the adult version of it, and I've been banging my biological sister this whole time. What do you do at that point? You just say, sorry, this is morally wrong. I have to abandon this family. And, like, you guys divorce? And then, like, what?
I'd probably kill myself. I'm not joking. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine another way out of that.
Yeah, I couldn't even begin to broach what that would mentally feel like.
I would cut off my own tongue and then get hypnotized. Like, either that or kill myself.
Yeah, I don't know, because, yeah, I mean, but on his side of the aisle, though, on Moriarty's side of the aisle, I mean, that's 15 years of memories, a couple of kids, house, you guys got jobs and stuff, you guys got joint bank accounts. I mean, you are correct in the sense that killing yourself is an easy out. But what then?
You got 15 years of memory, you got a joint bank account, you got a kid with a club foot, probably. Also,
fun fact about incest, if you make it out without deformities and then you have sex with another person and have a baby, your baby's gonna be fine. Like, let's say your wife was like the product of incest and you had a baby with her, it's only like a one generation thing if like inbreeding happens. Like, if you were to bang an inbred, your kid would be fine.
Yeah,
Just a little fun fact for you.
Okay. Thanks, I'll keep that in mind, I guess.
You never know what you're getting into. That's the thing about dating. You never know what you're getting into.
Christ. Before we get to the end, just real quick, I love the flashback to the high school. I just like how it's shot.
It's a great scene, yeah.
I like how there's a different color palette.
Spooky,
so you know it's
ethereal, dreamlike.
Yeah, and I love how you see him, current day him, looking around, and then the camera will turn, and then it's young him, so neither of them are in the shot at the same time, but you still get the sense that he's watching it. It's great.
Yeah. It was really good.
Anyway.
Kind of gave me Neon Genesis vibes because they spent so much time at high school.
Yeah.
Mainly just that. It's all uniform school, high school. Plus, I think you can hear cicadas and stuff. It feels very summery.
Yeah. Anyway, ending time. the read I got on it this time, cuts out his tongue, sees the hypnotist lady.
Barks like a dog. That's a great scene.
Oh yeah, all that. Great.
All that stuff's
different
fantastic.
hair.
So pitiful. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
You really feel
that's what I mean about him
twisting
switching
up your guts.
Yeah, like switching mid-sentence where he's like, I'll fucking kill you and I'll eat you because no one will find you because I'll eat all of you.
And he's like,
sorry.
I'm Moriarty's dog.
No, I'm sorry, I'm your dog, I'm your puppy. And look at me, I'm wagging my tail. Look at me, I'm going to cut off my tongue. Anyway, end of the movie, in the snow, getting hypnotized. And the hypnotist is like, you're in the penthouse. And you see your reflection, and there's you, and then there's the monster. Mm-hmm. The monster is the one who will know these secrets. You're going to watch him turn away, and he's going to walk. And for every step, he's going to age 1 year. And when he reaches 70, he's going to die. Mm-hmm. And then you see him wake up, and she's there, and the daughter's there. And she's like, who are you talking to? And then it tracks his footprints.
Yeah.
And I tried to count them. And I think I don't remember the exact number, but the number I counted is the only time I've ever tried to count the footsteps. I'm like, that's not enough steps to be 70 and then dead. So maybe when she hugs him and he's got that smile on his face that's just like a crazy, like, deranged smile, maybe it didn't take, and he still knows.
If successful, the only thing this guy has in his negative pile is no tongue.
Yeah.
If successful.
Yeah, but now he has to live his whole life being like, why did I cut out my tongue?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the worst part. I'd be pissed every day. I'd be like, a tongue back, please.
Do you think you could do that? Do you think they could reattach a tongue to you? Doctors? You think doctors are that good yet?
I feel like if it's one of those things where, like, in that 10-minute window that you can do with, like, thumbs and shit, probably.
You don't think they could put a new thumb on you? No, probably not. No, you can't. I see people without fingers all the time.
Yeah. But they do that where you, like, throw it on ice real quick and you try to reattach, or is that just a movie thing?
No, I think that's a real thing.
Yeah, so they could probably maybe do that with the tongue.
Yeah.
But how long he was away from his tongue? Nah, they're not just going to put a new tongue on you.
Well, Lorena Bobbitt cut off her husband's penis and then threw it off a highway. And they found it and reattached to him. That can't be 10 minutes. It wasn't on ice. And what's a dick but like a down tongue?
Yeah, but how much function did he retain?
I don't know. He became a porn star afterwards, so probably enough.
Definitely enough, then.
You might not be able to taste, but you could probably say stuff.
Yeah. Wow, what a movie, huh? I gotta give this a solid... I kind of want to give it an A+.
Yeah.
But I feel inclined to say A.
Okay.
Because I feel like... I don't know. I just have to decide here and now if A+ is reserved for, like... Fuck it, it's A+.
We still got S tier.
Nothing's broken into S tier yet, though.
I think Old Boy... I'm going to give Old Boy an S.
Give me the marker. Here's something we should start doing. Actually put our grades on these things, then I can look at them when I'm
Fair point.
updating the grade book.
I'm going to give Old Boy an A+.
An A+?
A+. I don't know what I'm waiting to put in that S tier, but I don't think it's Old Boy. I think I'm just real high on Old Boy right now. Ugh. Anyway, we watched Old Boy, and then what, like 9 days later, we watched Alien?
Yeah. Apex Legends? Apex... What's the Apex game?
Apex Legends, yeah.
Is Apex Legends? Raid Shadow Legends. Is that another one? Shadow...
Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends. I think
Shadow Legends.
That's the mobile game that gets advertised all the time.
Yeah.
Ugh, meal time.
Oh, it says Alien on the back. And then it's upside down. Alien 1979. Alien, spooky, scary alien. Robot man, spaceship land, penis-shaped alien, semen blood, can't outrun, double mouths alien, no escape, alien rape. Harry Dean Stanton, 7 out of 10. It's kind of like a slam poem almost. I can do another read where it's like slammy.
Yeah, maybe do that. And maybe, hey, maybe this is just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Read Harry Dean Stanton's name, but Stanton like Stantian, like alien, because I have a feeling it's spelled that way, so it rhymes.
Alien. Alien. Spooky. Scary. Alien. Robot man. Spaceship lands. Penis-shaped. Alien. Semen blood can't outrun. Double mouths alien. No escape. Alien rape. Harry Dean Stanton. 7 out of 10.
I rewrote that like 9 times. I wrote it and then I was like, Spaceship Lance. Cool. Can't outrun. Chris, what's your experience with Alien?
Growing up, I was a Predator kid. Just because,
Dirty.
Like a lot of young boys, I was just like, beefy men. That's what I'm about.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, that's what superheroes, G.I. Joe, all that kind of stuff. You're just like, beefy men.
I was more into the Spider-Man,
Okay.
lean, slender man.
Okay. Nah, I think I've talked about it a lot. If it was just a beefcake, I'm buying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why Venom looks cool. Or like when I was a kid kind of thing, I was like, oh, yeah, Venom looks cool. Spawn. Lobo.
Yeah, I always thought, oh, Venom, that's the opposite of Spider-Man. No, thank you.
But, not plus, the alien design in Predator appeals more to that beefcake thing. So yeah, I was just more so into that. It's a lot more action-packed. This one's more of almost like a chiller.
Yeah.
Spooky,
scary.
This one shares a lot of DNA. I'm not going to go too much into detail here because I'm just supposed to be talking about my history with Alien. But this one shares a lot more DNA with like it's like almost more akin to The Thing from Another Planet than it is like The Thing.
Yeah, I get
John
that.
Carpenter's. Which is another reason why I probably didn't land much in my childhood, just because it really is something where you have to be like still, and I didn't do very well with still, as most kids kind of don't.
Yeah.
But obviously it's very pervasive, the inspiration for things like Metroid, so I was very familiar with all of that growing up. The iconography is familiar.
Yeah.
It's all there.
So you had seen it when you were younger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely didn't remember much. Same thing with Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I remember is the Luke, I am your father line from that movie, which is, get away from her, you bitch. Ridley.
Believe it or not.
Ripley loves the word bitch, even in this movie.
She does.
She's always saying bitch.
Me and her aren't so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your alien lore?
I've known of it through pop culture and stuff like that. Over quarantine, when I didn't have a job, and I was just sitting at home. I had played every video game I owned, and then I had Alien Isolation because it was free, and I was like, I guess I'll watch Alien first. And I watched Alien. I was like, that was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
The only thing that really stuck with me was, I'm trying to think of a good word. I can't think of a good word. It's atmospheric.
Yeah. Claustrophobic is another word that gets thrown around. Yeah,
absolutely. It's very much, it reminds me, not surprisingly, of Blade Runner because it's Ridley Scott. I think the first half of this movie is boring.
Yeah.
And that might, in not a bad way.
Yeah.
In a way that a movie can be boring but still interesting. I know that that sentence doesn't make sense, but it's just nothing's really happening. I mean, it is, but everything feels very slow and drawn out, and more so like you're supposed to just be getting used to this world.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. And then it turns into kind of a slasher movie at the end, and that's fun. And I was telling you when we were watching it yesterday, I think just the coolest person in the world is Sigourney Weaver in Alien. She's just awesome. I just love her, just aesthetically, emotionally, just she's so cool. Like just the jumpsuit and the digital wristwatch and the sneakers. If I could dress any way I wanted to without being judged by society, I would dress like Ripley from Alien every single day of my life. She's so cool. And that's pretty much all that stuck with me. Then I played the game. I like the game a lot.
Yeah.
I never finished it because it gets very hard at the end. It's one of those like you gotta run and hide from the bad guy kind of scary games. Like you got some weapons and stuff like that, but mainly you're sneaking around. And in all of those video games, like the Resident Evils, or like I think the first one was Amnesia: The Dark Descent. You know, you walk around and you pick up letters and you read them, and you're like, oh, I gotta find a key for this door, and you walk around here and there, and then I'm in this area and the bad guy's here, so here's a space where I gotta hide in lockers and under beds and stuff like that to get away from the monster. Okay, now I'm in a safe area. I can go do this. Alien. That thing is fucking on you the entire game. Like, it is always just up in the vents, and you have to quietly look for your keys and your letters and your stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. And then I got to a point in the end of the game where I'm like, okay, I know the alien is behind me this way. I'm going to sneak away, and I'm going to walk through this door. Oh, 2 more aliens? This is too hard. I'm going to put this game down right now. And then I never got back to it.
Yeah. Glad to hear that they have a decent game out there.
Yeah.
I know that they've made many games. I'm pretty sure most of them are probably okay at best, if not bad.
Most of them are. I just restarted playing it again because we just watched the movie, and I'd like to finish it. But what'd you think of Alien this time when we watched it?
I'm gonna double down on my original point. It legitimately, pretty much in my opinion, is basically the thing from another planet. Just instead of being in the Arctic, it's in space. Mm-hmm. I mean, even down to them going to the other ship is kind of like them finding the ship in the first one, you know.
Absolutely.
And then the whole thing is claustrophobic, just like the other thing is. It's in this contained space. The alien is somewhere. It's not like John Carpenter's The Thing, because the whole thing with John Carpenter's The Thing is who is the alien.
Yeah.
But with the original Thing from Another Planet, it's like, where is the alien?
Yeah. It's something I was thinking about watching this, and I thought about it watching The Thing, and then I doubled down watching this. The idea of being in that snowy station, or being in a space station just on a job for X amount of months, seems great. I would love to do that. I don't know why, but it almost feels like camping, if that makes any sense.
Well, the closest thing you could do, actually attainably, is I have friends who do it, and I know of certain things. Like I even just saw another farm looking for it. You can 100% go spend like 3 months on like a farm in like Utah. I mean, $12-15. Housing's free. They'll cook for you. Just spend 3 months just helping them herd and milk and all that kind of stuff.
That doesn't feel...
It's not the same.
Doesn't
but
feel...
It's close.
Yeah, contained enough for me, you know? Like, I don't know why, just like the idea, like in The Thing, when they're watching like television shows that they have taped on VHSs and stuff like that, I'm like, I'd love that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
It's like in spoilers, the end of Breaking Bad, where he's just up in that cabin by himself for a year or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'd love that. Oh, I just love it.
But even down to them having to, or rather just Ripley, I guess, having to blow the station up, just like they have to blow the base up, because they realize that the only way to get away from the alien is to just wash your hands of the whole situation.
Do you think when John Carpenter remade The Thing, he was like, well, I can't just make aliens, so I gotta change it up a bit?
Maybe. Also, I would say that a lot of this, especially the first half, you can pretty much, excluding some scenes of dialogue which feel like it, but a lot of the more like B-roll-y type things where they're just like starting the ship and they're just having like the whole like commencing this situation, thrusters engaged, and like just the scenes of like the ship moving and like the way the thing is scored. Even the score, like if you just draped it in black and white, most of it could be a 1950s sci-fi movie.
Yeah, I get
like
that.
Even the soundtrack kind of has like a bum, 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 kind of like quality to it that sounds like that era. So yeah, in that way, in a lot of regards, there was even a point where I was kind of thinking like, between how little I remember of it and how highly you speak of it, it's like, man, I really got to rewatch Hereditary, because honestly, what that guy's doing, I can't remember his name, Ari Aster or whatever. He's like,
that's it exactly.
Yeah, it's like he's kind of just doing what, like James Cameron and Ridley Scott and Steven Spielberg were doing there in the 70s, just making big budget remakes of their favorite B horror movies.
I really would like to see Midsommar and
Midsommar also fell a little flat for me a little bit.
I'd like to see that in Hereditary again.
Yeah. But primarily because I had just seen the original Wicker Man.
Yeah.
And that's really just like, that's like, like the best way to describe it is kind of like, and I mean no disrespect because Midsommar is still good, so this is a little disrespectful to say, but it's kind of like watching like the Old Boy remake after having just watched the Korean version. You're like, I just went to the source. You know what I mean?
I get that, yeah. When I saw Midsommar, my dad was already into it, like watching it. And I was like, oh, I really want to see this. He's like, I just started it. You didn't really miss anything. I was like, okay. I missed the thing with the family at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which, from what I hear, is very impactful and sets up the whole movie. So I haven't seen all of Midsommar. But I'd like to watch both of those Ari Aster movies again.
Yeah.
But my thing about them after I watched both of them, I was like, that was good. That was great. Those were really, really good horror movies. I never want to see that again. Like, they're so stressful to me.
Yeah.
But I would like to go back and see them.
Yeah. But yeah, from the rip, great concept, especially for the time. Just
it blows my mind. This is a 70s movie, technically.
Yeah. Just out in space, trying to get back to Earth. I love that the ship, they're like, oh shit, the ship woke us up early, which only happens under certain conditions. I also love, I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit, the spoiler twist, which is that the ship's mission all along was to attain one of these aliens and bring it back to Earth. I feel like I've seen that twist a couple of times. Not to say that does not weaken this at all. I'm not bringing that up for that reason, but that's a classic one. I only bring it up because it's a classic twist that like I just love every time it happens, where it's like, you knew the whole time and you didn't tell us. Great.
But what makes that twist work best in this is they go, you knew the whole time, you didn't tell us, and they club him in the head and it pops off. It's like, oh my god, you were a robot.
Yeah. But yeah, they're out there. They wake up actually on time because this is when they were supposed to intercept this spaceship. I also am vaguely familiar with the lore that's built on in the next like 3 films in the series: Aliens, the third one, Prometheus,
the fourth one.
There's a 4th one. Didn't know that.
I think.
Yeah. I think like even Alien starts with like it's 80 years in the future and they're basically running the same mission or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. I really don't. Like I said, it's very vague. But yes, that works great. They go to the ship. Ship looks great as far as I'm concerned. Being on the ship. I mean, even just being on. I'm sorry that I'm just gonna kind of give a plot rundown, but they take like a sort of shuttle down to the planet. That all of that still really works. It's really tense. Like even them just being like, we got to run this right or else this could fuck up and we could die descending to this planet, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think there's even a point where they're like, oh, we lost one of the shields, and then they crash kind of, and they have to spend like something like 72 hours like fixing the ship a little bit so they can get back.
They crash kind of, and their control consoles start shooting sparks and fire, and I feel like that's a huge oversight. That ship should never.
Well, that's a funny thing. I mean, when you start dipping your toes into like their idea of what technology would look like now.
I love it.
Yeah, but it's also funny, like when they're talking to Mother and they're just talking to it the way that like the computers worked before the internet, where you would just like type in like a command and then it would respond to you, kind of. Like it works like a text-based adventure video game used to.
Yeah,
where it's like you wake up in a room and you're like, walk east, and it's like you cannot walk east.
Yeah, I love that because it feels like, because I wasn't obviously around when this movie came out. Like that, and I love all the technology feels like them being like, well, what would it be like in X amount of years? And it's just so wrong.
Yeah, because it's not the way that it turned out to be. It's not like Apple products. It's almost machine-like. Like everything still seems kind of like gas-powered.
Yeah. And I love, like, just all of it feels a little off and a little wrong, which makes it feel like its own world. But I think that really comes through to me with Mother, where like
it's like steampunk, but almost like gas punk. Like if everything was gas-powered.
That the AI and like them talking to it, like typing in the commands and stuff like that, almost doesn't compute in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, from what I know about computers and how they work, I'm like, this is impossible, but also doesn't feel like the way it would be possible. And so it gives it like a nice little added layer of sci-fi.
Yeah.
In a weird roundabout way. I love it.
But I love them, it's just classic sci-fi stuff that I just feel like everything works perfectly. Like when they're like, oh, what's the atmosphere like? They put on the suits. They go out.
That, when they go out in the suits, that for always is just like another layer of tension to me. Anytime someone's in a spacesuit in space, I'm like, oh, God, that's so scary.
Yeah. It's just so crazy watching things like this in like 2001, A Space Odyssey, because like I for some reason, like, these two movies specifically, but it's just so weird watching like this, and like there are multiple moments where like I just forget that it's not a contemporary to something like Inception, or not Inception. I meant Interstellar. Not contemporary to Interstellar. Because like I buy in when they're on the planet. I'm like, oh fuck, oh god.
You know what's strange though?
Yeah. What?
2001 feels more realistic than like Interstellar does to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's been a long time since I've seen 2001, so I'll comment on that when I rewatch it. But yeah, they go into the alien craft, and again, that's just one of those things where like they don't touch on it much in this movie. Maybe they expand upon it in the later movies and talk about the lore, but like they sort of talk about it on the ship almost as if alien life isn't necessarily that common. Like it's not a Star Wars world that they live in. Like, because they have little conversations about like, oh, what are the odds that it's intelligent? Like, oh, this is alien. Like, this is an alien craft kind of a thing. And they go on the ship. They're looking around. They see the skeleton in that big old control booth thing or whatever. And then down in the bottom, there's all those eggs. And I guess just based off this movie, to be nerdy for a minute, don't touch on any of the other lore you may or may not know. Does it seem like this ship is like transporting these aliens, or does it feel like they got on and they started to like? Because there's that blue shield. Is that supposed to like keep them trapped in? Like they're keeping the eggs and they're taking the eggs somewhere?
Yeah, is it?
Because that's the thing. They say something about like, oh, you break the seal. Like there's like, oh, it makes a noise when I pass this field.
Yeah.
Like so that makes it seem to me like it's some sort of like locking mechanism that keeps them just kind of incubating down there.
Yeah,
almost. I don't know.
It's
because whatever's driving the ship doesn't look like totally like the aliens.
It looks
a different type of alien.
It looks like the same alien to me, but like maybe a different like
a mommy or a daddy or something,
or like different like. I don't know, like one of those things where like different,
like a Homo sapien to like a Cro-Magnon kind of a thing, where like they're both human technically, but like maybe these are like the predator versions and these are like the brain versions.
But but like in this like alien species, like the alien we see on the ship is the hunting one, and the alien we see on the alien ship is the ship
president one. Yeah.
And I don't know because it's so much bigger than the alien, and it's just so. I love it because there's no explanation to it, and that's why I don't.
It's one of my favorite things in movies is when they don't. We talk about it a lot. I mean, with like Back to the Future, like not explaining like Doc Brown and Marty's relationship. That's my classic go-to example, but it expands out to almost everything. Like
that's why I don't think I'll ever watch Prometheus.
Yeah,
because that ship is the ship from Prometheus, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it would just be like, hey, we're doing this movie where we find out how Doc Brown and Marty met. It's like, no, I'd never.
For some reason, Prometheus has always struck me as something I do want to check out. Although I agree with you, I am very vocally against that kind of prequel. I always talk about how I'm not a big fan of prequels. I always talk about
Scott though, but apparently it's bad.
I've heard it's bad, but I've also heard that the lore is like, if nothing else, just kind of interesting. Not that they made a good movie, but like the lore is. Excuse me, because like to give you a quick spoiler rundown, it's basically kind of like an Ancient Aliens kind of a thing, where like, they're like the makers, and they've been basically terraforming worlds or whatever to like try to spread life throughout the galaxy, which is just kind of a classic sci-fi staple that some people even believe is true about the real world. Like people very frequently think that like perhaps there is alien life and it looks like us. Like that's, because there's all kinds of theories. Like they've been able to scientifically prove that like certain like forms of life can survive inside of asteroids, and like perhaps maybe we're even Martian in origin, but as Mars was dying, some of the space debris brought life here, and yada, yada, yada. All kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, basically it deals with that kind of a thing. I don't know where they take it or what they do with it. Maybe it's a bad movie, but it seems interesting.
Yeah, it's just not lore I want to know.
Yeah.
Because
I don't want to know it so I'm like, oh, this will help me enjoy Alien. It's just almost like when they have two movies that have nothing to do with each other, but they're set in the same universe, kind of a thing.
Okay.
That's the vein that I want to check it out in.
I get
like
that,
the way
definitely.
that you'd play a video game almost that was
sure.
set in the Alien.
I get
universe.
that, but also I feel like that lore would make me enjoy this less.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll never have the same experience. Obviously, I'll never have the same experience from seeing it the first time. But what I really enjoy and get from that ship, and then them finding the eggs, and then the thing getting on his face, and then it staying on his face, and it's like, oh, it's breathing for him and stuff like that. Like, from the moment they step on that ship until the alien bursts out of his chest, it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
This is so alien.
Mm-hmm.
I don't it's unfathomable. Like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? Because it's an alien. We almost can't fathom how any of this works.
Yeah.
And now one of them is on our ship. What the fuck do you do? And that's, I think, the big appeal for this movie. And if I know, Michael Fassbender went to the alien ship and the thing flying it was doing this, and they were taking these aliens here, it makes me less so go, what the fuck is going on? Which I think is a good chunk of this movie.
Yeah. Not to intentionally run beat for beat, but like one of the things I love about that first half is it just keeps up in the ante, right? Like, the one guy, Ash or whatever his name is, he gets fucking clawed in the face, and they bring him into the airlock. They're like, oh, let us in. And my girl Ripley, she's like, that is against protocol, and I'm on her side. I'm like, you out of your mind? But then the fucking robot, Ash, he's actually Ash, right? Yeah. Lets him in, and I'm pissed. They're undermining my girl.
No, and
they're undermining her.
I fucking love when they're like, open the door, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And
she's like, standard protocol is a 24-hour quarantine.
The captain goes, I'm giving you an order, open the door. And she goes, well, when you're not on the ship, I'm captain, and technically you're not on the ship right now. It's like,
it's
get
perfect.
him, Ripley.
She plays it perfect. The only thing that goes wrong is Ash is there to impede her thing. But then you find out at the end, he's not impeding. So there's also a part of me that, like, looking back on it, like, you know, he's a robot also. So he's just doing what he's programmed to do. But, like, then you look back on it and you're like, damn, that's why they'd be opening up the airlock, because that was the goal the whole time.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Crazy. Same thing with Dallas. Like, one of the things we remarked afterwards is like, oh, he acts like shit the whole time. But to be honest, probably because he knew what the mission is, and he's probably just like, he's not that worried about like, oh, we'll get it in the airlock or whatever. He's probably just kind of putting on a charade.
I think the only person that knew was Ash.
Oh, right, because it says the only for the science officers. Whatever. So yeah, he did a bad job. But anyways, yeah, they bring him on the ship. The fucking thing in his face looks disgusting. All the practical effects look good, in my opinion, besides the little guy running across the table.
Yeah.
The
thing coming out of him falls flat for me every time I see it.
It's just, I wish they would have found another way to do it that didn't make it look like the bottom half seems immobile. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sliding, like gliding across. It doesn't look like it's moving across. It literally looks like it's gliding across, like someone's moving it. So that's the only thing that doesn't work. Like, top half, fine. It's just the bottom half needs to look like it moves. It's actually moving organically.
I mean, just even it coming out of him doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like a limitation of the time. But like, it almost feels like it cuts to them and then it cuts back to him and the thing is just out.
Yeah.
In my mind, when I think of the scene, I always picture it bursting out of his chest.
Yeah.
And like, even with Robot Man, where they talk to his head, there's obviously a fake head that they're like flopping around and plugging stuff into, and then they set it down to where the real guy is going to poke his head out of the ground, and that's how they're going to do it. And they don't even like, it's not like someone walks in front of the camera and then it's the real head. They almost just switch to another shot. Like, it's very jarring.
Harry Dean Stanton does a great job. Parks does a great job.
If I couldn't dress like Ripley for the rest of my life, I would dress like Harry Dean Stanton in this movie. He looks so cool. I love it so much.
Pretty much everybody besides Dallas does a great job. They act their little asses off, as far as I'm concerned.
Even the girl that just cries the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. It's believable. There would be someone who's just like, what the fuck? Can't handle this. But, yeah, so the alien's loose on the ship. It's somewhere. They're trying to track it. They devise all kinds of little gadgets to try to track movement. They try to lock off certain parts of the ship, whatever. They find out it's in the air vents and whatnot. Mm-hmm. They try to blow it off of the, out of the air vents with a flamethrower. That scene's great. The whole time that I'm watching Dallas like shuffle around in the air vent, I'm like, fuck. Even just shooting that, I couldn't handle the claustrophobic nature of like my knees being at my chin, basically, while I'm trying to move down this little tunnel.
While you have a fire gun in your other
hands. And he's all sweaty and stuff. Second practical effect that just falls totally flat is when he's like, Dallas, he's coming right for you, and he like turns over and the alien just goes. I don't mind him being a guy in a suit. I can get over that, except in that scene. That's like the main one where I'm like, nah, that didn't work. That fell flat, son.
The big thing about this movie is Ridley Scott didn't like in movies where the monster is very clearly a guy in a suit. So he hired HRG, to make an alien, make a monster that couldn't possibly be a man.
Yeah.
And then he was at a bar and found, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who is in the suit, who is just like 6'9" and just crazy skinny.
Yeah.
And he's like, perfect, we'll put you in the suit. And
only problem is in every shot he looks like a normal sized man.
Yeah, and he never met anyone from the cast because they wanted them to be freaked out by the monster. And they go through all this effort, and I only see a guy in a suit throughout this whole movie, especially when it goes wah in an event like that.
That's the worst one for me.
It's a tie between that or at the end where it's hanging off the back of the ship, just flopping around.
That's also bad. But for the most part, it's fine.
Oh no!
For me, it serves the purpose.
Oh, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks really good.
Yeah,
but it still looks like a man in a suit, which I don't have a problem with.
No,
it's just that I know they went to such great lengths to make it not look like a man in a suit. It walks like a guy from Doctor Who.
Yeah,
but it looks great. It's like I think the design of that alien, maybe because it's just been still shoved down our throat 40 years later, it looks very contemporary to me.
Now, there's the aspect of it that I know that they wanted it to look a little different every time you saw it, which is why it starts as the little mask grabber, then it is all translucent, and then it's like a little bit bigger, right? It takes like 3 different forms, basically. That's all well and good. That's great. I love it. Doesn't quite reach the heights of, like, I think the apex of what the idea is there, like the whole, like, oh, you never know what it looks like. That's kind of just John Carpenter's The Thing. That's how you do that idea perfectly. But that's not to say that, like, I just think that with the concept that you have, that it is an alien every time you see it. I don't know. It's good that it changes, but it's like,
hey, didn't notice it changed.
No,
not at all.
Well, I guess it's technically 4 because it's the face grabby thing, then it turns into the little naked mole rat thing.
Well, face grabby thing is its mommy.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all kind of like part of the whole like cycle of life or whatever, right? So it turns into the naked mole rat thing, and then it turns into like the translucent thing right behind the guy, and then it's the big black one at the end. So 3, I was gonna say 4 if you count the face huggy thing, but if you don't, if that's his mommy, my bad.
Hey, Chris.
What?
In your most educated guess, what's the little mouth do? What's the little
mouth inside the mouth?
What's it for?
No clue. Just looks spooky. But anyways, my main point just being it's really good for lore, it's great creature design and stuff like that, but because I think part of it is like, oh, you never know what it's going to look like, but also yeah, I just feel like the most scary version of you never know what it's going to look like is it can mimic other things.
Yeah.
So that's all that was mainly the point I was trying to make. But again, that's not to take anything away from this because it's just different. That's it. It's just different. I just think that like that concept is taken up to 11 in something like John Carpenter's The Thing, where you really never know what it's going to look like. And even when it looks like an alien, well, again, it's taken up to 11 because even in John Carpenter's The Thing, it doesn't have a base form, at least theorized in the movie or in some of the fan theories, is that it doesn't have a natural form necessarily.
It's either a person or just a different, the grossest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh God, Chris, The Thing is so good.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention is there is the which I read was specifically done in the editing process, but there is kind of an alien rape scene.
Yeah. We were watching it, and I don't remember this from the first time I saw it.
It was like 5 minutes later that I was like, an alien rape just happened, right? And you're like, take it back.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, no, because like the thing goes up her leg, and then when Ripley comes and finds them, she's hanging from the ceiling, and she doesn't have boots on. And I was like, what happened to her boots? And you were like, I think it raped her. And I was like, did it? And then we paused the movie and did like 10 minutes of research, and yeah.
Because like there's even the point where like to my ears while Ripley is running down the hallway, it sounds like the alien's going like a little bit for like 2 seconds, like in between like her screaming. It's weird.
And hey, can I be honest?
Yeah,
I could have done without it. I think it brings this movie down a little bit for me. That just feels weird and it feels unnecessary. And it feels like antithetical to what the alien is, you know.
But the movie does a great job of something I like in these movies, like The Thing or like The Thing from Another Planet, even, or Alien here. I like in these like slasher or even Terminator, in these like slasher sci-fi hybrids. Kind of unlike, or not rather unlike, just like a slasher film, with the second half, obviously everybody's trying to survive. But for some reason in these examples, more so than just something like Freddy vs. Jason or whatever, or this is not me slighting them. It's just that it's more so singing the praises of these ones. I am actually invested in the survival of these characters. Like they have clear plans that they're trying to carry out, right? Like at first in Alien, they're splitting up 2 at a time, and they're just trying to locate the thing. And then they figure out it's in the air duct, so they're trying to slowly close off the air ducts and get it into the air lock, because that's where the air duct goes at the end. And then it devolves into like, okay, fuck it, we're going to take the escape shuttle. You guys go downstairs and try to get all the antifreeze, whatever the fuck it is, or coolant that you can, and then they both die. And then it's just Ripley being like, fuck, I just got to get my cat and get the fuck in that little thing.
Also, hey, if you make a spaceship and have an escape pod on it,
put the coolant in there.
You make the escape pod big enough for everybody to get on, or you make 2 escape pods. That does not. That I don't buy it.
That's fair.
Maybe my biggest problem with this movie.
And then just kind of blazing through. I mean, we can go back and forth at any time. I do like, even though it doesn't make sense necessarily, or it does, whatever. I'm just saying, it's a little tiny leap for me. That she gets on the ship, she gets naked, she's just chilling in her underwear. And then she's like, oh, fuck, the alien's in here. That is tense. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
But then you do get the sort of buffoonery that is the alien dangling off the thing, just kind of slamming into the fucker from the back. How do you feel about the twist of like the aliens on the...
I think that's whatever. It's fine.
It's kind of something you just kind of gotta do.
Yeah. But also, the rape makes it worse.
The rape?
Because when the alien's on the escape pod, it's just hanging out.
Yeah.
And it's just sleeping and like doesn't know she's there, which kind of makes it seem like the alien is an animal that's just kind of walking around going, oh, there's a guy, I'll kill him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over here. There's a guy, I'll kill him.
It almost seemed wounded on the escape shuttle. Like it was like tired, tuckered out, ready for some sleep.
Yeah, just tuckered out. That's what I got from it. It's just like this alien that's like, well, I guess I'll crawl into here and just sleep for right now.
Yeah.
It's weird. I like the escape pod bit. It's like one last scare, kind of.
Yeah. Classic slasher movie stuff.
But how do you feel about our girl who, yeah, like we keep saying, no, I'm in command now. I'm not opening this airlock. And then I love later, Robot Man, Ash,
I think, yeah.
is doing computery stuff. She goes, so what'd you find out? And he's like, oh, nothing. I still have no idea what this is. And she goes, yeah, it's weird and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about you opening the airlock. And he's like, I did what I had to do. And she goes, no, you disobeyed a direct order. I am your boss when he's gone.
Yeah.
And then Campbell dies. And she's like, all right, I'm the boss. This is what we're going to do. And like people are like getting all frantic and she's screaming at them.
Yeah.
And just takes control. And she just gets shit done. And she's awesome.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where, like, again, it's like, I love that aspect of the movie where it's like you're annoyed the whole time, and I'm still annoyed at the end, but then you still, like, once you get the reveal of, like, oh, that was their mission the whole time, then I look back on it and I'm like, oh, I understand the motivations of the antagonist now.
Yeah.
I know why Ash was impeding her and, like, was always saying things like she's like, oh, you debated a direct order, but in his robot head, he's like, bitch, you don't even know my order.
Yeah.
Nothing you could say could impede my order.
Yeah.
My order says if it's a human being, it can go fuck itself.
Yeah. But she's
A boss.
Just the.
She's a better captain than Talos ever was.
Yeah, she's the biggest badass in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And then she just, with her wits in her well, gets her cat and she gets the fuck out of there. And then the movie goes, okay, let's take that butt out. That's what I was building to.
Yeah.
I always feel weird.
Yeah.
It just makes me...
yeah.
Do you agree with me?
I don't know, because at that point, I don't know if it's like... I don't like to put my fucking amateur, like, film criticism hat on at all, but, like, by that natural point in the slasher film, the female character has assumed the traditionally, like, male role. So as an audience viewer, that's how you're now viewing that person. You're not really seeing them in the light that you would usually see a female character.
Yeah.
So by that point, it's not even that sexy. It seems like a hard day's work kicking your boots off. To me, that's how I feel about it.
It could definitely read, okay, she's in the escape pod, she's gotten away.
Yeah.
I'm going to
cool off a little bit, get this fucking jumper off.
Get this jumper off.
Because I assume what she's doing is she's prepping to get in that little pod. So
yes,
she's probably got like a
absolutely.
little outfit to put on.
And what they're showing you is, okay, she's basically naked now.
Yeah.
She's in a very vulnerable state because she feels safe.
Yeah.
That's great. Good filmmaking. Awesome. But then when she gets in the closet, the camera angle is just her entire ass with her underwear halfway down. And I'm like, this feels a little icky.
Yeah. No, I get you. The movie also, on a side note, ends with her being in not the best situation. Kind of equally scary in just a different way, to just be
Hopefully someone
directionlessly.
finds me,
Yeah, just blasted out into space. Kind of like Gravity.
Kind of like Oldboy, where it's a happy ending. Right? I love the androids' insides.
Do you really?
Because they're gross, and it's like nothing I've ever seen. And it's
Yeah.
just like the milk that he's full of.
Yeah.
And like just the weird lights and like shit coming out of him that doesn't look like anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It almost feels a little organic and
Yes, that's fair to say. The
like
milk.
when they hit him in the head the first time and just that white stuff milk comes out of the top of his head. It's like, what is that? Why is there milk coming out of this man?
Yeah. Yeah, I will give it points for all of that. It's just kind of 50-50 for me. I wish that's one of the few things in the movie that I wish looked a little better, but I definitely agree. I like that it all looks like nothing I've seen. I like that it's like milky and it is kind of organic and stuff like that. And yeah, when he gets bonked, you're like, what the fuck?
It's nothing I've ever seen, but very clearly, you know those little like desk things. They're like a light with like those like clear, thin straws, not straws, but like thin, just like hairs
I know
of
what you're talking
plastic, and they light up at the end.
Yeah.
He's just full of those.
But yeah, there's like chunks in the milk.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the gross things to me, that it just ends up, I don't know, seeming a little bit like something slapped together for like student film, kind of almost.
I get it.
But
yeah.
it's fine, like I said, because also ultimately like the pros outweigh the cons. But I think it might be the chunks specifically. I don't know. There's something about it that just slips by being perfect, but I do love it. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I do really like the scene where they're talking to Justice Head.
Yeah.
And his voice is just kind of fucked up. You know me. I got a big soft spot in my heart for robots.
Uh-huh.
I love songs with vocoders because I'm like, oh, listen to this sad robot. But I love when they're talking to him, and at the end he goes, "I did what my mission was, but that being said, I hope the best for you all."
Yeah.
And they turn him off. And I was like, all right, you won me over. I like you now.
Yeah, like I said, that's why one of the reasons why, like, by the end when the reveal comes, I'm like, oh man, I like end up sympathizing with the robot a little bit because I'm like, he's just doing what he was told to do.
Yeah, so are the Nazis though, Chris.
Yeah, but they're human beings. I can't afford them the same sympathy as I can this robot. He can't control what he's told to do. Human beings can.
You're right. If the Nazis were robots, I probably would be like, oh, I like robots.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'd be a little more like, I can't believe Hitler made them do that.
Yeah, robots are science fiction slaves.
Yeah.
You ever seen iRobot?
When I was a child, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I watched it in a hotel room like 6-7 years ago at this point, and it does not hold up. You know what's great from that movie though that I think still holds up? There's a scene where Will Smith is interrogating the robot that's starting to have feelings and stuff like that. And Will Smith's like, well, no, you're not a human. Can you write a symphony? Can you paint a beautiful vista? And the robot goes, can you? It's like, ooh, get him.
Yeah.
Get him.
Based on a novel by Philip K. Dick.
Yep.
I'd love to read it.
Me too, but I don't want to read. I still haven't finished Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
Yeah.
Don't even know where that is. Lost that book. Mm-hmm. And it's so short. I could knock it out in an hour. And I just haven't committed to it.
Also, beating a dead horse at this point, great creature design. The
Great.
alien looks great.
Looks great.
Great. Black, leathery, sleek,
Phallic.
Yeah, it
Little mouth.
looks like it's probably the earliest example I can think of an alien in a movie, because I'm not super well versed in sci-fi, but I have a brief understanding of the general, excluding something like King Kong or Godzilla, because I guess those kind of count in a sense. And those are, King Kong, yeah, whatever. Forget my little tangent there. This is like the early example of like a sci-fi alien that I am like, that looks like a fucking could be real alien.
Yeah.
Like this looks like a thing that we could find on a planet. Am I wrong? Or this fucking thing looks like it could be a real.
No, absolutely.
A real
you
alien.
just made me think of something.
Yeah.
King Kong and Godzilla, the same thing. I would say, tell me if I'm right or wrong, Godzilla is sci-fi and King Kong is not.
No.
Because King Kong is just a big monkey they find somewhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like Godzilla is like, oh, we created this thing with nuclear waste.
Yeah, that's the clear distinction there. King Kong ends up being a horror film.
Yeah.
Because it's
I think
naturally occurring.
Godzilla is as well.
No, because it's specifically like the radiation from nuclear weapons that's created Godzilla, I believe.
But I'd say a big monster stepping on a city is pretty scary. I think.
No,
that's
yeah, I'm
supposed to be
saying
a
it's still
movie.
horror, but what differentiates sci-fi is specifically that it's
yeah.
man-made, right?
Yeah.
So like Frankenstein is horror, but it's technically sci-fi, whereas Dracula is just horror because it's a naturally occurring thing.
I'd like to watch those two movies. I've seen bits and pieces of both of them, like the multiple iterations that there are. But I am now for the first time thinking of those two movies and like, wow, that's just. And this is probably nothing new. This is probably the point of both of those movies, but just two different sides of the world's interpretations of a big monster. And
Yeah.
King Kong is, just a bunch of white guys going to a fucking island no one's ever been to before and being like, oh, this is cool. We're going to go take it back to our place and make it work for us. And then...
That's a classic white guy go-to.
Yeah, and then... Godzilla is, man, there's this big monster that we found that's a side effect from these fucking white guys coming over and dropping a bunch of poison on us.
Yeah.
I'd like to see those. I'm going to watch those two movies as soon as possible, though, probably.
The saddest part about real-life radiation is that that mutation doesn't actually happen if you're exposed to radiation. Mm-hmm. You just die.
You just die, yeah. You get turned into a shadow.
Yeah, I love that that's purely a sci-fi idea that, like, oh, you got a third arm because you live next to a nuclear plant. No, if you live next to a nuclear plant, you would just die.
Yeah.
You would die if something was
from the inside out, you would die.
You would die, yeah.
That's got to be big nuke propaganda, right? Like, hey, you could get superpowers, huh?
Yeah.
But no, really, you just get a horrible cancer and you die.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Overall, I think I have to give Alien like a B.
I'm gonna give Alien a B+.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna give it a B-. I changed my mind.
B-?
B-.
Any closing thoughts on Alien?
Check it out. I think Alien's good. I don't think it's amazing. It definitely drops the ball in some places. Amanda Ripley, not Amanda. Didn't they say her first name was Ellen or something like that?
Yeah, like Ellen, I think. Yeah, Ellen Ripley, yeah.
Ripley is one of my top 5 favorite film characters of all time. But even with that, I think this movie's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to wrap up in a way we usually don't. I think the things that make this still relevant to me today, which is one, this is a great example of something we don't see terribly often, at least done well. This is like, just a super badass role for a woman to be in. Obviously you have things like Sarah Connor, but she falls more into like the Marty McFly kind of archetype, where it's like, I'm just a normal guy. You know, she's like, hey, I'm just a normal guy.
Oh, Chris.
What?
We gotta watch T2.
I know. Yes, we will.
She becomes Ripple in T2. It's so good. Oh my god, her arms are huge. Sorry, go
on. But yeah, as you were saying earlier, Ripley is just clearly a person who was made to be a leader from the beginning. And yeah, she's just badass from go. It's almost like, McCready in The Thing, or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. He's just the cool one. She's just the cool one in this movie.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's great to see. Again, it's something that even to this day is still, I know that we've had our Hunger Games, and we've had some, I don't know, Captain Marvel. I didn't see it or whatever, but again, this is still a role that's usually given to a white dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's just done flawlessly, because yeah, from the rip, you're like, this Sigourney Weaver whips ass.
And like I said, I think it would be flawless if we didn't get just that. If her underwear were pulled up just an inch higher.
See, I like that it's like off and shit, because it's like shit, I don't even give a fuck. I've been running around, like it's all tussled up because I've been running around and stuff.
It could be all tussled up, but cover your butt crack.
But anyways, then that makes her like kind of like a plumber or something. But anyways, the other thing, creature design, astronomical, out of this world. All the space stuff still feels not that dated, really. It just doesn't.
I think all the spaceship stuff, especially the CRT screens and the late 70s, just idea of what that stuff's going to be is, I'm going to steal your word, it's astronomical. It's so good.
Even just down to like some of like the actual physics of the world. Like I love that they're like, we're still about 10 months from Earth. Like, yeah. I like that it's hard soft sci-fi, but still grounded in reality, in the sense that like we're not wormholing, we're not light speeding. Like this is just raw dog in space, the way that you'd get on a bus.
Yeah, and I think
they all feel like semi-truck drivers.
Yeah, and I feel like it works so well because they're not explaining to you how the ship works or what Mother really does and just stuff like that. Like, yeah, the shit's just here, like you are alive in this time period and you're used to all this shit.
Yeah. So yeah, the sci-fi holds up, the alien holds up. Great female lead. So overall, 2 four xenomorphs doing the moonwalk out of 4 xenomorphs possible.
Doing the moonwalk?
Well, 4 out of 5. 5 possible xenomorphs.
Doing a moonwalk.
Doing a moonwalk, yeah.
All
out of 5. That's like a B, yeah.
4.5 out of 5 is a
No,
B?
4 out of 5.
Okay.
4 xenomorphs doing the moonwalk.
Okay.
Out of 5 possible xenomorphs.
Okay. Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that's that. Mattress Man. If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,